Tuning you in now to the LBX show with your host, Brandon Wiley. Brought to you by the LBX Collective, your community to connect, engage, and inspire.
Well, welcome everybody to the LBX show for December 14th, 2025. I'm your host, Brandon Wiley, and we have a great show lined up for you today. First, we're going to dive into some news you should know, some fun stuff we're going to cover there, and then we'll roll right into a robust open and shut with Kevin Williams to review all the latest openings and closings and trends from the week. And then lastly, we're going to hear from Adam Pratt. He is back, although he is under the weather. He's with Arcade Corner, well, Arcade Heroes, but he's going to do his Arcade Corner as he covers a grab bag of amusement news from this week. So that is our show lined up for you today. Let's dive into some news you should know. All right. Well, first, we're going to focus on IAAPA's Family Entertainment Center Summit. This is the IAAPA FEC Summit. It happens every year in the winter-ish time frame. And this year it's happening in my backyard. It's happening in Glendale, which is not quite my backyard. It's about 45 minutes on the other side of Phoenix. But it is in Glendale, Arizona, February 1st to the 3rd. And it is $100 cheaper than it was last year. It is $499 for members of IAAPA, and then I don't know the exact number for non-members of IAAPA, but you know what? If you're not a member for IAAPA, become a member. It's worth it. So join, you get a discount on the FEC Summit. But really excited about all the details and things we're going to be doing here. So, first of all, we're going to hear from Libby Gill. She is the keynote speaker. She's a leadership expert and author. She's going to share insights on leading with clarity, engaging teams, and basically driving meaningful growth in an industry that's evolving. She's a former head of communications for Universal, Sony, and Turner Broadcasting. And so she's just got decades of experience helping organizations navigate transformation and building high performance cultures and teams. And so I'm really excited to hear from her for the keynote. And there's going to be a bunch of other education sessions and panels and just massive opportunities for networking and everything else. And so very excited for FEC Summit and just to see all my friends, in the industry. So it's always a great time. We're also going to be visiting 3 locations. There's currently 2 confirmed: Fat Cats, which is a Cinettainment location, and then Pecan Lake Entertainment, which is like a big indoor-outdoor family entertainment center plus. Like, it's a big place. It's a really pretty beautiful area, and I'm excited to go there. It is a bit of a hike from the hotel where we're going to all be staying in the Wigwam Resort on the west side. But you can also then participate on the Sunday before we kick things off. That Sunday night is when the first opening reception is. But earlier that Sunday, we'll be doing a wacky golf event benefiting the IAAPA Foundation and specifically the IAAPA FEC Foundation Scholarship. And that is a separate ticket, and it is available during your registration. It's a $100 ticket. All the proceeds go to the IAAPA Foundation, and it's going to be fun. Normally they do a golf tournament. So, instead of the golf tournament, they're doing a wacky golf tournament at the Wigwam. So that is the update on FEC Summit. All right. Next, there's another IAAPA news. We have a new vice president of the North American, executive director, vice president of North America. This was a role formerly held by Michael Shelton, who is now the COO of IAAPA. And so he is now filling the executive chairman role. This is Todd Andrus, and he is a marketing, attractions and hospitality marketing leader. He's going to oversee the regional strategy for North America, as well as member engagement for the trade association. And he's got, 26 years of experience in hospitality, attractions, and marketing. And so they really are expecting him to, quote unquote, bring deep industry expertise and customer focused approach that will hopefully deliver its value to its members. And so began his career at Bush Entertainment Corporation / United Parks. And he spent a lot of time in sales and served as a corporate senior director at Premier Parks. So anyway, he's going to be leading the North American operations and member engagement and support for associations events as well. So I haven't had a chance to meet him yet, but I'm sure I will meet him at the FEC Summit. So if you're planning to go there, I'm sure he will be there to get to know people in our industry. All right. The next thing I wanted to talk about is where I was at this last week. So I was in LA and the LA area, like Los Angeles is really big. So I was first in Long Beach for a regatta, kicked some ass there on Sunday, and then Disneyland on Monday. That was fun because I was there already. But then more importantly, I stayed in the Anaheim, Irvine area for a couple of extra days so that I could go to the preview event for the first Hijinks Hotel opening here in the US. So It's actually co-located with Holey Moley. Holey Moley is also a concept that has been created and started by Funlab. Funlab is based out of Australia. You've probably heard us talk about on this show, Holey Moley and Hijinks Hotel. Been big fans of what Funlab has been doing. There are multiple Holey Moleys already here in the US and in North America, but this is the first Hijinks Hotel, which was opened, which is like a challenge room concept. And we'll talk a little bit about this here shortly. But it is co-located. So it's cool. You can come in a separate entrance, as you can see here, to the Holey Moley entrance. And then you can also come into a separate entrance specifically to Hijinks Hotel. But there is a pass-through between the two different environments. And they really are intended to be different environments. So you're going to have more of a party atmosphere. And even the F&B, the food and beverage program at Holey Moley, different than the food and beverage program at Hijinks Hotel. I'd say Holey Moley is like a party atmosphere. Hijinks Hotel, also a fun atmosphere, but probably more elevated at the F&B level and at the overall experiential and themed level, like kind of like an elevated experience there. And then even the employees were hired very differently to have different energies and different personalities at each of the different locations. And I will say, I was like profoundly impressed by the quality of the employees that they found and the culture that exists within the employees, the energy that they brought to the table. And yes, was it a preview event? Was there a lot of energy? Sure. But the energy was also really driven by the employees. And so kudos to the hiring team, the hiring managers for both locations, because they did hire very unique people for both locations. And I was thoroughly impressed by that. That was one of the things that stood out to me the most. One of the other things that was a lot of fun with these preview events is you get to hang out with other people in the industry that you don't get a chance to see very often. And so, I was able to hang out with Alex Patterson's friend from Beat the Bomb. He's the founder over there. And then Michael Schreiber. Michael Schreiber is the, one of the founders, but executive chairman of Funlab. And he was out there to obviously, help to kick everything off here. Didn't get a chance to see Blaze as well. She's the current CEO of Funlab, but I did not get a picture with her. But you got Michael Schreiber there on the right. He gave me a tour, walked around. We had a chance to kind of really see a lot of the experiences there. And then Alex, and then the guy on the left, Chuck Taylor. He's the former VP of Entertainment over at Dave & Buster's and Main Event. And Alex, Chuck, and I, we got to go around and hung out and tried all the different rooms at Hijinks Hotel and wandered around and had a good time hanging out together. So figured I'd take this moment here to then just run through a couple of pictures and talk through a little bit about the experience, because we talked about Hijinks Hotel again on the show, and they're doing some things really, really well. And so I just wanted to call out some of those things. So we're going to pull up some pictures here. And so the first thing, they're going to be a little bit out of order, but I'll walk through them here. But I walked in, they had 3 different karaoke rooms. These are off of the Hijinks Hotel, so separate from Holey Moley now. So the first few things we're going to look at here are from Hijinks. They have 3 karaoke rooms / party rooms, right? They could be birthday parties. They don't have to be karaoke, but if you're there, you can certainly do the karaoke. A little bit more again, and kind of elevated experience you can see there. Each of the party rooms had slightly different colors and aesthetic, but they were more or less pretty similar in their thing. I thought this sign was great. I apparently can't take good pictures, but it says side effects may include unexpected confidence. We go into, this is right outside of each of the party rooms / karaoke rooms. This is a really good overview. I backed up, so I'm standing kind of over where the party rooms and karaoke rooms are, looking out. So they have some F&B bar space, sit down space, but it's very limited. And I think this is one of the positives that I saw here. Like, they want people to be able to feel like they can sit down, have a drink, have some apps. You'll see most of it is standing type stuff, or high bar tops with a few seated areas, but they're not trying to be a restaurant, right? Like, so we've talked about this before. Like, one of the Pinstripe's biggest issues is that they really, I think, overbuilt their restaurant level and didn't have, had too much restaurant space to their entertainment space. Like, the ratio was off. So good ratio here in the amount of food and beverage, more like just sitting area. And then that feeds into the lobby of the quote unquote Hijinks Hotel that you can see here on the right. Beautiful bar. This is their Hijinks bar. Again, like, everything in this space is done very well. Like, all of the finishes are excellent. The furniture is excellent. The cocktail program was excellent, and everything was customized. They had special drinks for the preview event, but they're also part of their signature drinks as well. But really impressive build out that they had here. So this is the main lobby. The entrance is there to the right, coming into the lobby. and you go and you like register and you check in and you get a little key card that looks just like a hotel key. It's a, like a card, like a game card, right? But like it's a, branded like a hotel key room is in a little slip, and they tell you your time and the number of players that you have. And interestingly, one of the things that they do, as Michael was explaining to me, which I completely agree with, and I think that I know Andretti does this and others do this as well. So great little tidbit to learn from. But that is to make sure that when they come in, they may have booked a particular time if they're a walk-in or whatever, but I always say, hey, we're getting your room ready, right? So in this case, he's like, because it's a hotel, right? We're going to get your room ready. It'll be ready in 15 minutes or in 30 minutes. Head on upstairs to the hotel, to the elevator, to the bellhop, and they'll take care of you in 30 minutes. Well, what are you going to do for those 30 minutes? You're going to go right over to the drinks, to the bar and get some food or get a drink. And, it's going to increase the per cap immediately when you go in and you do that. So I will talk about one of the issues I think they could very easily solve for when they come back, or when we get to the room. But anyway, I thought that giving somebody the opportunity to go and get a drink, get a little lubricated before they go up into the Hijinks Hotel was a good idea. They have top scores for the week, and so they have different teams, and so you can get your scoreboard, and it's done very nicely, elegantly on the wall. Again, within the hotel, the quote unquote. Again, I told you this jumps around a little bit because these two spaces are interconnected. We didn't go up to the rooms quite yet. So we went over to the Holey Moley Golf Club, just check out some of these. And they had people walking around. These are some of the drinks that you can order. Get very different, bathtub drinks and party drinks. And, actually a lot of the drinks, almost all the drinks were done in these like kind of red and green solo cups. And so we all got one of these cups to take home with us. So it will now sit there for, for everybody to see. But that is the, some of the Holey Moley drinks there. And then, again, bar, limited seating area, but then the bar for the Holey Moley side, very different, right? So very different atmosphere. The employees are dressed kind of wacky. They've got funny hats on and stuff. And so, very different party atmosphere. These are some of the holes. So really impressive holes. Each one very well themed. This one was obviously done up like an art gallery. You can put your face in Mona Lisa, which is clever. And, each of these holes really driven towards social sharing, taking selfies, etc. But you can just see some of the holes here that I didn't take pictures of all of them. And then apparently I'm jumping right up to the Holey Moley hallway. So like here you come in, and the way Holey Moley works is you pay a certain price, whatever the price is, for a corridor. They have 3 corridors, and in each corridor there are 5 rooms. And so you pay for basically a corridor, and you get those 5 rooms. Each room lasts about 4 minutes. So the overall total experience for Hijinks is about 30 minutes per corridor, because you've got your entry and exit and explanation and everything else. So about a 30-minute experience if you don't include like your wait times and your F&B and everything else. So you go into each of the rooms, you use your key card to go into the room if it's available, right? It's a red light if somebody's in there, it's a green light if somebody's not in there. And so you can transition into each of those rooms. Fairly similar to any sort of adventure or challenge room experience. Level 99, time mission, bam kazam, etc., activate, etc. Right? So like similar concept, except for the fact that in every one of the rooms, it is 4 minutes no matter what. So a lot of these others, as you go in, if you don't solve the challenge, you're kicked back out. You got to go back in, try to solve the challenge, or maybe you did solve the challenge, but you think you could do it faster, so you go back in each time. In this case, you go in, you do it once, it's the 4 minutes, and your goal is to try to get as many points as possible during that period of time. You just keep doing it over and over. I will talk about that here in a minute. One of my issues, though, here is that you are not allowed to bring your drinks in with you into the rooms, which makes sense because the drinks, some of the activities are going to like knock over the drinks. I wouldn't bring the drinks in either. The problem is the drinks, you could only put the drinks on top of a locker area. Like that was like sort of like at the beginning of the corridor. And if you're in one of these back corridors, if you want to like get your drink, if you didn't finish your drink before your time is ready, you have to like try to go all the way back, get a sip, and then go all the way back. I really think they could do some tables right outside the door, so I can leave my drink here, and then go into the room, come back out, get my drink. Now they may be worried about people putting shit in drinks or whatever. Like I maybe understand the security or safety of that. So they could be like a little closet or something. I don't know. So I think there's ways to solve for it that allow me to still be able to enjoy drinks while I'm playing. I know it's only 30 minutes, but if I got my drink and then I have to like put it down for 30 minutes to come back, ice is going to be melted. It's going to be diluted. It's not going to be good. And so I think there's a way to solve for it potentially. But anyway, that was one little miss there, I think. Now, what I really liked is when you were done, you basically could come here, you returned your keys, but before you return your keys, if you tap on this little H, it prints out your scores, but it prints it out in a pretty cool looking little hotel receipt. So this is the hotel receipt here. And yeah, it like shows your scores for all the different rooms that you did. And is pretty well done. I thought like this is obviously something you're gonna put up on a refrigerator or keep as a keepsake. You're gonna go home with this thing in most cases. So pretty smart marketing there. They obviously have the website down at the bottom as well. So anyway, good stuff there. All right. So just to not spend too much time on everything here, I thought a few quick call outs there. This is their registration for Holey Moley. So pretty cool, like little carts. You can get wacky hats to wear while you're doing it. You can buy some of these hats and then you get registered. And so you can go in, again, another one of their pretty cool rooms. I did take a picture of their bathroom. I did wait till nobody was in it so that I'm not taking a picture of somebody going to the bathroom. But one of the things that was great here is I'm a big fan of the all gender bathrooms where you can just have tons of rooms. They're private rooms. And then you come out, you all wash your hands and you go. Like it's a great way to just keep flow happening so that you don't end up with like a backlog line for women because they're waiting for their a stall to open. There's plenty, they can all be shared. There were a couple of like urinal only. I think like literally you walk in and there's only just a urinal inside. So they can obviously fit a lot more of those rooms together as well. So I really like this design of the bathroom and I think it's the future is moving in that direction. A couple of last things I'll call out here. I mean, just their theming was incredible. Like all of the different stuff that they had was pretty epic around. So this was like a little area. They had different little sitting areas for different groups to kind of tuck away. Also, really great private event areas. If you wanted to have a private corporate event, you could rent that space, and then you could bring in vendors like they had here, the Shellfish Affair. This was not part of the Hijinks Hotel concept, but they had oysters available the entire night. And these guys just kept shucking oysters. And they're a caterer that was brought in. So pretty cool catering concept there. And then one of my favorite things is they had a speakeasy through the photo booth. So they had a photo booth. You could go in and actually take pictures of, photos of yourself, which we did. And then you would go through the other side of the photo booth into the speakeasy. Now, what's cool is the speakeasy doesn't open unless you've actually taken a picture. So you can't just like slip through. So you have to take your picture and then go into the speakeasy. And I like this sign, nothing to see here. And then in parentheses, definitely not a speakeasy. So they're not trying to hide it necessarily. Obviously, they could put away that sign if they feel like they're at capacity inside of the speakeasy to keep things moving. The speakeasy itself, it wasn't the most amazing, but it had a really cool space and could also be rented out, obviously, as a private bar and private space there. So that I think is the generally the experience. Now I'll just cover a few. The one thing that I think I was a bit disappointed with was the gameplay. Now, not the rooms. The themes of the rooms were beautiful. Like the gameplay itself, like all worked very well. Like it was functional. So I wasn't disappointed there. What I was disappointed in is that they were 5 games and they all had to do with like putting balls through a hole or tapping a button or pushing buttons based on sounds. Like they were all very similar. And then each corridor had a pixel floor concept or game as well. Which was like seemed right out of the, like not a whole lot of custom work done on the pixel floor either. Again, theming and stuff inside the room was beautiful. But I was disappointed in that the fact that each corridor basically had a ball game, had a pixel floor game, had a sound, had to match the sound to a picture game. So like there were repeats. And so like, even if I'm coming back again and playing a different corridor, my experience may be very similar to what I had the last time I was there. Again, not everyone has put a ball through an animal's mouth, but one of them had a basketball hoop, and one of them had you're in a ball pit and you're throwing balls. There were a couple of ball pits, you're putting balls in different holes and kind of moving around, and all fun games. My issue is that each corridor sort of had like a repeat there, and so I think that as they really think about expansion and repeat play, one nice thing about the challenge room concept is that you can easily make changes, right? I say easily, but you can make changes to each of the rooms. So you can go in and you can close up a room or close a whole corridor, change out all the attractions in that corridor, then reopen them again as they begin to bring in more of these. But I think that would be my one complaint is that it was if I were coming back in as a repeat visitor, I would be maybe a little bit frustrated that my experience down a new corridor wasn't significantly different than my experience the last time I went down a different corridor. The other interesting thing too about their 4-minute model, no matter what, so I'm in there playing for 4 minutes, is that I'm throwing balls in these animals' mouths for 4 minutes straight. And, some of them, like that one, like didn't feel like quite too long, but like the one where we were shooting baskets, we're like, oh my gosh, there's like 3 of us all shooting baskets. Like 4 minutes feels like a long time to just shooting some baskets and basketball. So that was the one other side of the gameplay that was like, okay, it needed to like kind of feel like needed to move on. So obviously they've been running Hijinks successfully down in Australia. And so, it could have just been the fact that we went and did 15 of these rooms all in one night. And so maybe it felt a little bit like that. And so, but anyway, I think overall, I was very, very pleased with what I saw. I absolutely love what Funlab is doing. I think they're nailing Holey Moley. That fills a category of space that isn't being met. And then the Hijinks Hotel also meeting a really unique, immersive, story-driven category that is not being met currently at the challenge room, adventure room level in the US. So appreciate Funlab for bringing me, they didn't bring me out there, but for inviting me to the event. Had a blast, had a lot of fun, and really look forward to the next opening and to see how things continue to evolve and succeed for them here in the US. All right, well, that I believe is almost a wrap. The last thing I want to just touch on for news you should know, because I missed talking about this during our IAAPA guest gab review. So I just want to just briefly mention that Creative Works had partnered with Amusement Foundry to debut a new attraction called Detonate. And so we mentioned Creative Works and some of the stuff. We didn't talk specifically about Detonate, but I do think it's interesting to call out. It's a 10-minute or less escape room experience for 2 to 6 players. It has a footprint that's smaller than 25 square feet, and every puzzle self-resets. We talked about the dark escape games concept on the guest gab. We did not talk about Detonate, and I think it was just important to call this out. I will say the one thing here that may be an issue is that it looks like, as far as I can tell, the puzzles are externally facing. And so one of the things about dark escape games is that you're going into a room, you're doing the puzzle, and yes, there is a camera, but if nobody's watching the camera, nobody's seeing how the puzzle is being solved. If you're doing this on the floor and people are solving the puzzle, potentially somebody could watch and see this whole thing happen and then not be able, not be able to solve the puzzle themselves. So unless the puzzle does different things and it randomizes and there's like different settings and versions of this puzzle, which I'm not sure, I think that could be one issue that it has. But otherwise, there's definitely a movement happening here where the smaller format escape games, challenge games being done even on the game floor and not just in like the challenge room model or concept that we talked about with Hijinks. All right, that wraps up a relatively robust news you should know. Coming up next after the break, we will dive right into Open and Shut. Intercard is the only cashless system designed, developed, and manufactured all under one roof. They introduced cashless technology to the amusement industry and have been leading the way for over 30 years. Cashless systems from Intercard increase customer spending, guest satisfaction, and boost revenues by up to 30%. Intercard is so proud to be serving the amusement industry, and if you aren't already part of their global family of customers, they hope you will become one soon.
Greetings, everybody. It's Adam in the Dark for the Arcade Corner here at the LBX Collective. I'm at my arcade in Salt Lake City, Utah, but just don't have all the games on yet. I haven't had any customers in yet. Sadly, slow for December here where I'm at. But actually, earlier today, I was out looking at new locations to move to. So we'll see where that goes, if that goes anywhere. But yeah, let's get into the news. Just so you know, I've been sick all week, so I don't know how long my voice will last here. We'll try not to push it, but so let's just jump into it. Retro gamer and former arcade hero writer Nick Thorpe has passed away, and so many of you probably wouldn't know Nick, as he was mainly focused on the retro gaming scene over in the UK. But he did write for the magazine, Retro Gamer Magazine, which I believe still is published, but also an online institution of a sort. And he had actually written for Arcade Heroes between 2008 and 2012, and that's where he got to know a lot of people in the amusement industry, particularly over in the UK, as such as this photo that's on the screen here. That's him with Patrick Michael of Sega Amusements International. The other gentleman there was with a console developer. I think it was, I can't remember if it was Codemasters. But unfortunately, he passed away the first week of December at the young age of 38. I'm still not aware of what he died from, if it was a health-related issue or something else, but just wanted to recognize him. I didn't get to meet him personally since I've not been to the UK, but talking with him online, was always a nice guy to talk to and very talented writer. And so he will be missed, and hope he rests in peace. But on to other pieces of news to catch you up on, because I didn't have an arcade corner last week due to some problems with the sound equipment. The Arcade Heroes has just hit 19 years in existence, so I've been doing this for almost 2 decades now. Been fun to do, and plan on continuing to do it, covering trade shows and such. Another piece of news outside of IAAPA really quick to cover is just, if those of you who've been around for a while, well, pretty much everybody should know the name Atari, but maybe not everybody knows the history of Atari and Atari games. I won't get into that, just don't have time. My voice can't stand it either. But one thing that they are known for is creating a lot of games that never saw production. We call them prototypes, or if you want to be more direct, I guess, just unreleased games. But 40 years after a game had been tested out and not released, a game called Jammin', it's been discovered, and it's been made to work inside of emulators like MAME. And apparently several other Atari games titles were found on these tapes that where they were able to recover some of the data, not all of it. Or they're still working on it. Very tough stuff, way above my pay grade as to how to deal with that. But had Jammin' been released in 1985, it would have been the first rhythm game, the first music game. So what you would do is it would play some music on a drum set, and then you would have to push the buttons in the same sequence, kind of like a Simon Says sort of thing. But then it would play it back, and the band would jam with it. And so you're basically like doing a recording session. So innovative thing, but apparently it failed testing. So I guess innovative doesn't always equal strong earner. But always fascinating to me that, decades later, something like this gets discovered. And hopefully they are able to uncover some of the other games there too, like Garfield or E.T. There was an arcade version of E.T. that was in the works. There was Gremlins, a special version of Gremlins that was under development at Atari, and several others. But moving on from that into things that are relevant to our industry right now, post IAAPA, it's always hit and miss. Sometimes there are manufacturers that will list everything right before the show or right after the show. Others may take months to list the new products that they showed off. Now, sometimes that may be due to the games that are at IAAPA are not in production yet. But other times it's frustrating when you hear about something that is in production and yet there's no listings for it anywhere. And I don't really get it why manufacturers will do that on occasion. But here's one manufacturer that listed several games that were seen at IAAPA, and that would be Coastal Amusements. And so you can see here, their Hot Wheels Ultimate Speedway won the first place in games and devices of the IAAPA Brass Ring Awards. So congratulations to them on that. But all these other games, Sports Legends, Justice League, Classic Cruiser, Treasure Wheel, Freeze 5, Wild West Shootout 2, Zombie Invaders, Roll and Win, Ace Golf, Vortex, they've all got it listed now, and I believe they're shipping. And if we hop over to a distributor website such as Betson here, go to their arcade releases and sort by latest, you can see Wild West Shootouts there. But they also have some others listed from LAI Games, Kaiju Rampage, Cube Clash, Liquid Death by Alan One. Jet Games actually doesn't have these two on their website last I checked. Talking Tom Gold Run and Gigashot. I know the Joe game that they had at the show, they were saying was going to be spring, so still a little while out on that one. Let's see, Liquid Death, I did get to play that at the show. And Wild West Shootout 2, this had been shown at Amusement Expo, but due to the U.S.-China relations, it had been delayed up until now. But one thing that I did learn at the show is that Betsonwood had a non-exclusive agreement to carry Storm Racer 2 in the States. Now, I haven't seen any other distributors list this yet, but I also don't know if the price that was quoted to me by Wallop, who is building this in China, is accurate for what Betson's selling it for. So that's where I'm not going to mention what the price is, but I was shocked because I hadn't heard a price that low on a racing game, especially a motion one, in like 10 years. And so, or maybe 5. It's like after the pandemic, everything skyrocketed. But to be fair, they're not the only distributor that has been listing brand new products. They've all been working hard at listing this newest stuff that would be carried there. I also know on ICE's website they had the Odin's Hammer Strike, the Future and Mini World and Speed Rider, all carried by Bandai Namco. But last I checked, Bandai Namco didn't have those games listed yet. So sometimes distributors get the jump on what the manufacturers are listing, and don't always understand. To me, logically, the manufacturers should be the ones with the information first and then the distributors. But yeah, again, it doesn't always work that way. But yeah, I would spend more time covering this sort of stuff. Oh, if I didn't mention it, Primetime Amusements is where this one's at. Sorry, my brain's a little frazzled. Being sick, it gives you this weird brain fog. But yeah, that's the latest updates. So try and focus on something, hopefully when my voice is returned next time. But thank you for watching, and catch you next time.
Power up your game floor with Arcades by Alan One. Whether it's perfectly pouring drinks in Dr. Pepper Soda Slam, grabbing official Butts on Things plushies, or defending cities from attack and missile command recharge, Alan One has something for every venue and arcade floor that will delight your guests. Each game is also enhanced with Major League Esports, a free app that tracks player top scores and brings guests back to your venue for more. Visit allen-one.com to learn more. That's allen-one.com. All right. Well, I know I had said we're going to do some open and shut there when we did Arcade Corner, and that's fine. So we had Arcade Corner. Next up, we got Open and Shut with Kevin Williams.
Hey, a big hello to everyone. I hope I find you well, Brandon.
Yeah, doing well. I'm back. I'm back here in Phoenix, as I mentioned earlier in the show. But yeah, I'm looking forward to being here for the rest of the holiday season. So it's nice. Yeah.
All right. So you're bedded in for the season. Well,
yeah.
We'll jump straight into it. We still got a lot of facilities to go through. I am curious why we have so many, because opening during the December period can be a traumatic process, but some operators have felt that they need to do it. I think we know the reason why, but again, that's a topic for a sound off rather than here. But again, if I zip past anything too quickly, you can pause and go back and whatever. So jumping straight in, and Geigo has been playing around with a concept for a poker facility. So this is the Gender Geigo Get in the Game Oasis facility operation, but now along with a brand new acquisition where they have taken on board a what I would call karaoke, but they would call a singing venue concept. They have also merged into their operation a poker table operation. So if you jumped in the time machine, it would have been 2-bit Hold'em facility in the US. Remember how many of those opened up and disappeared without a fanfare? Well, now poker's very strong in Japan and a number of poker dens have closed down because they're a little bit tacky, and now a brand new approach has happened. And one of the additions to these venues that Gendo is going to be opening up is the inclusion of a little bit of Kittleton style crane operation.
This one is really interesting to me. I mean, not that they're opening up poker rooms, although that is interesting in itself as well, especially if there's not really anything unique about them other than it looks like they're very comfortable tables and a really interesting gameplay opportunity. But that they're adding cranes and Kittleton style, experiences in with this facility. Like they seem juxtaposed. One's longer form, one's very short form. So kind of interesting that they're bringing those two together.
I get the feeling that they're utilizing the space, and so outside, shall we say, of the main poker area, there will be a selection of crane machines. The translation wasn't going into detail. A very sarcastic friend of mine pointed out that maybe after you've been having a long time playing at the tables, you need to take back something for the kids that you've left at home. I'm not going to touch that one, just to say that it is clear that the Gendo brand is diversifying into interesting locations. Moving on, and our friends at Urban Air continue their rampage with about 350 facilities dotted around the US. They have a brand new Grand Rapids, Michigan facility that's just thrown its doors open. Interesting, I usually get the size of the venue there. It is an ex-department store, surprise, surprise. So I'll take a punt and say that it's a 50,000 square, just to be safe. And it comprises really what Urban Air has nailed down as their active entertainment. I think at some point in time, they're going to have to push their rebranding even a little bit further away from just an adventure park, maybe to an active entertainment park, because along with the climbing walls, along with the trampolines and the slides and the inflatables, they do have quite a considerable attraction and amusement component, even VR in some locations.
Yeah, I mean, they have karting in some locations as well, and even indoor skydiving at a few very few locations. This looks though to be one of their more standard, straightforward, active play adventure park locations for sure.
And they have, in the information that was supplied to us, they have plans for quite a considerable number of rollouts in 2026. So watch this space. Jumping to Spain, and in Seville, another ozone facility has opened up. This is a continuation of their bowling and amusement with F&B style. This particular site is a little bit larger than their normal, 12,000 square meters. And it has, along with the 24 bowling lanes, traditional bowling lanes, not string or constructed, but they also have go-karting here. And about 100 to 120 amusement pieces. Nothing to sneeze at, quite a considerable offering. A mule by any other name, though I'm sure they're focused more on the bowling approach, and a 30 chain facility with plans for further Spanish openings. And, you know, speaking personally, the Spanish market can take this based on the disposable income of the population as well as the available real estate.
Yeah, I mean it's big. It is it done some interesting things with the aesthetics inside, but otherwise it's pretty much just a big open box of big standard FEC.
It's a big standard FEC stroke mule stroke bowling alley stroke place to hang around. They haven't gone over the top with the branding, but they would argue that their audience is not that sophisticated and their market is not that congested where they need to have a USP definer. But I would argue that that will change very soon. Off to California from Spain, and Lucky Strike has opened up another venue, 38,000 square, 32 lanes here, but I couldn't work out if it's compacted lanes or full-size lanes. I'll take a risk and say I think they're the compacted lanes that they use for their entertainment facilities. About 60 amusement machines in there, F&B, bar, as you can see from the picture, that's quite nice there. And if we only look at the Lucky Strike bowling component of the Lucky Strikes entertainment operation, this is about 360 bowlers out there. But as we know, as we've talked about in the past, this is the top end of the quality of their bowling environments that they have under their wing. That said, I haven't been able to chase them to find out how fast their refurbishment plans are going with their existing retinue of sites.
It's such a massive undertaking to go and convert their Bolero sites to Lucky Strike, especially when, some of the Bolero locations are not the greatest. They're pretty straightforward standard. And they may end up leaving those as Bolero. Maybe they're handpicking the specific sites based on location, demographics, attraction mix, and that's the ones that they're making the transition to Lucky Strike. But that is such a heavy lift that they're going through. But I think it's important that they make that transition. Lucky Strike has just such a better brand. And with guests and with consumers than Bolero tends to.
I get the feeling, especially as this is a new build site, that they have decided to put their energies into new flagship facilities and then walk back. Because one of the possibilities that we could see here is if you open up a brand new facility within the catchment of an existing Bolero, then really you have removed the need for that older, tireder, more debt-ridden facility. But personal opinion. And then jumping all the way back to Europe and Italy, we have the log guys, the lots of, for us English speakers, lots of games, but for whoever came up with their brand, lot of games, it is an FEC by any imaginings, but it's an FEC with a very high quality build out. I like their themality of the log sites. And whoever picks their amusement definitely has an eye for the attractive. It's very similar to the Chinese high-level amusement facilities we see with the polished floor to create the reflection and also going for lots of neon. But it is a brand that has about 3 facilities out there. And I thought a lot more, but they have, if you go to their website, a lot of new sites in development for their European mix. And so we will be talking a lot about these new openings in 2026.
I always think it's funny when you have names like, that promise a certain thing, right, in the name. So like a lot of games, like log, okay, well, I sure hope you have a lot of games. I hope you deliver on that because it's in your name. So, you're going to be stuck with that.
Yeah, and it makes it difficult for you to pivot into anything else.
Right.
So,
yes.
A lot of darts, a lot of pinball. Yeah. Oh no, we mean games. Yeah. Well. Yeah. Sometimes going for that European translation can be difficult if that isn't your target audience or your target language. VR. We're going to be talking a lot about this in the sound off. We have seen quite a spurt of investment into what I call immersive arena venues, multiplayer, shared reality experiences that are more on an adventure rather than a game focus. And in Poland, there is a developer of this kind of approach that has rolled out a couple of facilities within their territory, and they've just announced a brand new version. The company uses the term metaverse in their name, and so it can cause some confusion when we're doing research into them. But this particular facility that has opened up is focusing on the Hotel Dracula, which is kind of a horror, but also an exploration, so a walking simulator kind of experience for about up to 10 people, I think, in groups up to 25 at a time. But again, it's pointing into that direction of the shared reality entertainment approach in LBXR, which we will be touching upon in this sector, rather than the traditional VR arcade.
Yeah, this one. So I'm curious because obviously Blanco Negro, they have other experiences as well under their banner. Like Fairy Tales is a really popular one of theirs.
They're a fever light, I like to call them.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering is then, is this Hotel Dracula location or Dracula Hotel location going to eventually offer the fairy tales experience or some of their other experiences down the line? Like, I feel like it would have to in order to keep the repeat visitation happening.
There is no reason why you have a one hit, one experience facility unless that hit is amazing and blows away anything else you can do. It's the argument we have with the cinema industry, which is the cinema industry has to continue to update, because you can't have a theater just running Rambo all the time because it was a popular film. You have to have other films, and the same goes for immersive VR shared reality facilities. And again, talking about the expanding chain and the VR offering, the latest franchisee of the Sandbox VR operation, again in Italy. You're seeing a kind of pattern on territorial openings going on at the moment. Spain, Italy, where maybe France and Germany has been saturated. The latest Sandbox facilities opening, that's 68, 69 sites that they've got there. They didn't make it to 70 for the end of the year, unless they've got a big surprise happening in the next couple of days. And this particular operational franchisee has copied the English model by parachuting in the robotic bartender. Again, not all of the Sandbox VR facilities have that, and that's going to be something that these guys are going to have to think about in their branding, because what happens if I want to go with my mates to a Sandbox VR experience and I suddenly find out that it didn't have the robot bartender that I liked so much? These are the issues about branding and positioning, which can make franchisees' customizations difficult.
Yeah, especially when it comes to F&B. So if you expect, most Sandbox VRs don't have F&B component at all, but the ones that do, it's like a nice little addition, right? I can watch my review, I can go do my post experience watch, and sit down with a drink made from a robot. And that adds an extra layer of, one, increase in per cap, but an extra layer of guest experience. But I can't walk into a Sandbox VR and assume that it's going to be there. And that, I think, is the issue when it comes to offering F&B. If you're going to have a variable attraction mix, we've talked about that before as well on the show, that if you have, especially if it's wide variety under the same brand, and one of your locations has karting and one of your locations doesn't, this is something that Urban Air runs into a lot when you have your franchisee attraction mix. And not just Urban Air, but other brands as well. But especially when it comes to F&B, if you're coming in and you don't know that you're expecting there to be some sort of drinks or food, and that's not there, that's a problem.
I don't think they realize that yet. It's going to bite them in the bum if they don't think more about the guest experience. And it's one thing that I'm noticing with a lot of companies post IAAPA, that they are realizing that they haven't been putting enough energy into their guest experience offering, as well as their competitive positioning. But we can talk about that later on. Moving down and around, and Bullseye, not the most original name in the world, though I'm not sure, maybe in Oklahoma. It's a fantastic name for a competitive socializing venue, because this is clearly a competitive socializing venue. Spirited Target. Well, I'm more interested in the eating the darts and the drinks side of this, because the axe throwing component is bays, and the bays that they have at this site are very similar to golf bays. They are much more laid back and open planned compared to the more cage fighting alternative. They have their darts traditionally placed, but they've also parachuted in one of the first installations of the 501 interactive mini golf LED screen. And I'm really fascinated to get my hands on the reactions to that, how well it plays and how well it fits, because it's going to need to have some attendance support, because this is slightly different to how most players would be familiar with playing a mini golf environment. But anyway, it's an interesting sized site. I get the feeling that Bullseye is the beginning of a chain. I couldn't do too much digging in the time I had available into the background of the owners of this operation, but I get the feeling that Oklahoma City is a test site for a wider diversification.
Yeah, I mean, they've done some interesting things here. I mean, with first of all, the name. I mean, look, they're obviously it's axes, darts, and drinks. Although they leave out the mini golf as part of their tagline.
Yes.
But the spirited target practice, same thing, leaving out the whole concept of mini golf. Although you could argue that the mini golf, the 501 version of mini golf, is much more like target practice than standard mini golf. But I cannot tell, but my assumption is because on their site they say it features a high-tech simulator that tracks scores for their axes. So my guess is, since 501 doesn't have an axe throwing component, it's probably Lasertron's axe throwing system is my assumption. And then you've got obviously 501 darts and 501 golf for the to round everything out here. Exactly. But it will be interesting to see how the 501 golf. I think this is probably one of the first installations, at least non-sanctioned or non-sponsored installations of the 501 golf system that we've seen in the wild.
I had put money down that 501 was going to put their first of their mini golf screen-based experiences into a D&B, but as we will be touching on in sound off, changes within D&B may have precluded that particular deal going forwards. I don't think that is a Lasertron darts axe thrower system. I think it's another company, funny enough, a company that we reported on in our Stinger Report coverage at IAAPA. But hey, we need to go to Oklahoma.
Yeah, no, we don't.
No, we don't. Growing the franchise, I was surprised how quickly PopStroke has got to 20 facilities, to be honest. Time flies when you're having fun. I wonder who's having fun. The Tennessee facility here, 77,000 square. They keep on saying mini golf indoors and out. I think what they're trying to say is entertainment indoors and out, because there's nothing inside that site other than a couple of putting, mini greens. The focus, the key focus of the experience is outside. I know they'll argue that one, but I've seen the reviews of their facilities. They really are going to have to consider on a secondary entertainment component for these. No matter what they say, they have got a audience situation, which is a nice problem to have, which is they have a strong attendance, but that strong attendance wants something a little bit more after they've played their round and had at least one drink or something to eat. And I'm expecting to hear that PopStroke is going to broaden its entertainment offering at some point.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably inevitable. I mean, one of the big things about this Nashville location when they first announced that they were building it, is that they were going to put some of their holes inside, because while Nashville isn't inundated with crazy amounts of snow, it does get snow on occasion, and it does get very cold. And so the fact that you have a facility that is not a year-round facility, that really isn't like a typical seasonal location. People don't think about Nashville being seasonal. But you now have created a seasonal attraction, a relatively seasonal attraction that can be an issue, or one that will be impacted by inclement weather. I will say though, PopStroke does have excellent F&B, so their food is really good, and so it is as you have to, if you're going to have a single attraction model, your food and your drinks have to be really good and top tier. And I've been to a number of PopStrokes, and every time I've had a great dining experience.
The dining experience is excellent. If you know the team behind the Tiger Woods group, as well as the dining group, they had their heads screwed on when they looked at this process, and it is really entertainment, though they wouldn't like to call it that. It is play the golf, but stay for the food and the drink, and then hopefully the social environment. I was wondering if this was going to be a venue that was going to embrace a little bit more of their golf TV tournament system, but as that has disappeared in a puff of smoke this year, I'm thinking that they are going to have to think of some kind of social entertainment glue that is going to support that. And you touched upon, the interesting point here is that you cannot make this seasonality. You can't close the site down as soon as it gets cold outside. You have to have, if you're going to build in these localities, you're going to have an indoors component. And if you're going to move into the indoor golf market, then the brand or the play style that they're offering doesn't work that well in an indoor environment. But they were going to learn these lessons the hard way, because I get this is the beginning of their move into less temperate climes.
Yeah.
And then the big one that a lot of people seem to have missed because they were too busy talking about the Netflix deal to buy Warner Brothers. We had the second Netflix house open, and also we had an interesting reveal, but we'll go into the reveal in sound off. But here with Netflix House, the Dallas facility opens up, 100,000 square, previous department store, all of the boxes ticked, and 2 attractions, as all of these sites seem to go for, 2 key attractions, one being a survival game based upon, obviously, the fantastic success of the Squid Games franchise, and the other one being more of an escape mission room kind of experience based upon one of their less popular franchises. In my personal opinion, I'm not a great Netflix watcher. And then we had the first appearance of Netflix Replay, the most originally named arcade zone in our industry. Very interesting. That's 21 amusement machines placed in its own themed environment. And we've been looking very closely at the machines that they selected to put into their first true amusement space. And I'd love to have a conversation with the team behind it, why they picked some of those machines. And on the day of the visit to the opening, they even had problems with those amusement machines that they had there. So, it's a learning phase, such as we've now learned that the Las Vegas facility has now been pushed into 2027 opening rather than at the end of 2026.
Yeah, probably to give time to incorporate the learnings from these 2 locations.
I hope.
Yeah, I mean, when I look at the Netflix Replay, well, I can't see all of the pieces that they have there, at least on their site. It is clear that they're trying to at least align the amusement pieces with their Netflix brand. So they have a one-piece machine. They've got a sort of like a quasi DDR, but focused around K-pop Demon Hunter songs, and so they're trying. I think to.
Did you notice they had a one-piece machine? Now, where would they have been able to have got a one-piece machine from? We don't have a one-piece machine in the Western amusement market, but we do have it in the Japanese market. So some deal has been done here.
Well, and the one that, at least the one that I can tell, it almost seems like a quasi redemption piece. Yeah. But I don't know if they're going to have redemption, or if it's just being used as just a competitive piece. But it does look like an existing experience that was rebranded around the One Piece IP.
It's interesting. The really badly shot social media of the person walking around the site didn't spend that long in the arcade side, so I can't answer the question about merch or a redemption component or how the games are being played or activated. Hopefully, in the next couple of days, we'll have a better video going around that. But this is really interesting. One of the other big surprises is that they put in a active interactive floor and themed it with the floor is lava. Yeah. But they have a floor is lava entertainment package. That package is with our friends at Sandbox VR. And what is missing from this facility?
Yeah.
A lot of people have missed a lot of things about this particular site. I get the feeling. Sorry, go please, Brandon.
Well, no, I'm disappointed actually by the floor is lava. Obviously, they branded the room around the floor is lava, but it's just a standard pixel floor and like the standard pixel game experience. Like, there's nothing unique at all. It's like truly right off the shelf, and the gameplay is probably going to be right off the shelf gameplay, from what I can tell from the videos that I've seen. And so, like, that's a little bit disappointing. Like, there's 17 other FECs in the Dallas market that probably have the same exact pixel floor. So I don't really know what they're bringing to the table differently, because the floor is lava is not that IP is not going to bring somebody in if it's the same kind of quasi, like, I don't want to call it boring, but same old experience.
We'll touch a little bit more about this in sound off. Then moving into the shuts and the rebrandings, our friends at Fun Zone have rebranded their laser tag arena operation now. They've pivoted towards the laser zone branding. Now, you have to understand here that the German usage of laser tag has gone through various changes over the years as they've had to, dance around the usage of guns within their society, and then to the embracing of the popularity of laser tag. But we're now seeing a consolidation across the European laser tag industry, and that is coming with a lot more rebranding and a lot more reinvestment into those operations.
Well, I mean, actually, I think so. The one thing I'll say here is, if this is one case, in most cases, I'm not for rebranding and really pigeonholing yourself to something to your main attraction. But if you are only truly purely laser tag, just embrace it and call yourself Laser Zone. So, and obviously, I appreciate that they've made that shift. Actually, it's probably going to be much more alluring at that point because people know what they're coming into.
When we enter the new year, we will be entering a period where a number of anniversaries are taking place, and not just anniversaries marking decades, but also anniversaries marking the usage of terminology. And things have moved on and things have changed quite considerably. And one of those things is the toxicity, and I don't mean toxic in a bad way, but I just mean a changing of opinion of how certain things are being perceived by our current generation audience rather than our previous audience. And without going into too much details, the term laser tag comes with a lot of baggage, and maybe being able to upscale the audience perception of what you're offering before they even think about what they're going to be doing with their entertainment is something where we will see a lot of companies now looking at rebranding, maybe moving away from go-karting to karting. It's just a simple example of that approach. Thank you to our sources out there. I got inundated with the news of the Planet Play School facility in New Jersey going for a little bit of a Burton. The staff have stated that it's closed. Hasbro is tight-lipped about this. The franchisee is tight-lipped about this. The only way I could find out about this was through TripAdvisor and through the information that our sources had given us. But this is quite an interesting black eye. At the time of the opening of the Planet Play School, we all raised an eyebrow about what the entertainment value was going to be, as well as the expertise of the operator to actually create something that wasn't just a lot of color scheme and enlarged maquette models, and actually had a play value that was worth the money to go there. By the looks of it, the audience voted them out, and I think our friends at Hasbro are going to have to take a step back and reevaluate who they give their IP to if they don't want to have a series of openings and then 14 months down the road closes.
Ooh, yeah, this one is tough, especially when they had such success with Hasbro City in Mexico to then roll out something here and have it not work out. With what should have actually been really alluring given their target demographic, their target age group. And so, who knows? I mean, was it a location? Was it bad operations? Was it just, did they pay too much for the IP and partnership and they couldn't make their money? I mean, there's a number of things that could have gone wrong here. But this is, they are going to have to go back to the drawing board and figure out how they're going to leverage their Play School brand for sure.
They're going to have to go back to the drawing board. They're going to have to reevaluate what their Play School brand is because, as I said at the time, what the hell is Transformers doing there if you're going to go for a Play School brand based on the Hasbro operation? It felt to me the management team may have bitten off more than they could have chewed. And again, I am concerned that a lot of the lessons that were learned in the reason for this failure are going to be brushed under the table because it will be embarrassing to certain executives that they dropped the ball so publicly on a concept like this. But we will dig. You can't hide on this information forever, as the industry knows to its chagrin. Anyway, that's a quick rundown before the new year falls upon us. Again, it's going to be a very busy year next year. I always say that, but this one has been quite a busy one, but I get the feeling that next year is going to be twice as busy. To keep up with this acceleration, make sure you're getting your Stinger reports, make sure that you're reading your entertainment social arena. You can now understand why I started the entertainment social arena with all of the competitive socializing that's going on. And we've got some news about that coming soon. Also, make sure that you can supply us information via our LinkedIn or via our email. And that just leaves me to hope that everything is going okay with you, Brandon. Getting ready for that magical day coming towards us at high speed.
Yes, indeed. So we have one more before we have one more open and shut before the we take a 1 week hiatus for the holidays. But I'm looking forward to the next one.
Speak to you soon.
If you run a location-based entertainment brand and want to attract more visitors, check out Radius. They use real-time location data and customized marketing strategies to help brands like yours stand out. Radius can boost your foot traffic and build a loyal customer base. Plus, they're offering a complimentary local market analysis to show you exactly how they can help you grow. Curious? Visit radius.co and ask about your free market analysis. That's RAYDIUS.co.
All right. Well, we have Sound Off number 102 with Kevin Williams this Tuesday, December 16th. And that is really it. That is a wrap for this week's LBX show. This is Brandon Wiley signing off. Stay tuned and keep kicking ass.